Welcome back to your favorite podcast. You might see a third screen if you are watching. If you're hearing, you will hear a third voice. We have powered up the duo to a trio of awesomeness. Chase, welcome to the show. Welcome to Unscalable.
Gentlemen, what a pleasure. Like talking to you via text, like seeing your faces even more.
Even better.
Yeah.
I love it. Welcome, Chase.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Always joined by my partner in crime, Mikey, the Phoenix Phenom. How we doing, Mike?
Yeah, doing good. Excited to be here. We've got some cool stuff to talk about today, so can't wait to get into it.
This is the first spicy green room that we're in. Mike was getting a little heated. We should have a good one for you. Okay, Chase, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So we were talking about AI, how it reshapes an org, how we're all thinking about it.
You're already off script. We didn't even do our wins and losses. You get a new guy in. He skips stages.
I was so excited to talk about it. All right,
jump to the gun.
So you guys talk to me. Mike, give me a win and a loss since last episode.
Yeah. Okay, I can't say the name, but we have been working this mega deal in PostScript land for a very, very long time. A brand that measures its GMV with a B, not an M. We just closed them. I'm so proud of our team. It's been hard fought. We are so excited to bring them over to the PostScript platform.
Did you beat someone? Effort. Did you beat someone that we?
Yeah, they were using the other guys, the ones you can probably imagine. It's actually a really cool sort of story for us because this brand, very, very, very way back in the early days of SMS, was actually using PostScript. And then migrated off when we were more of like a PLG sort of style business, like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Idiots.
And now it's a homecoming. They're back.
Yeah.
And we are ready to deliver. So huge win for the team. Very, very proud of our go-to-market organization, our product organization for that one. A loss of the week, actually a little bit related to AI, which we've been talking about a ton, is like we're trying to go AI native, everyone's in AI all the time at PostScript, and like the permissioning, the security, the seats, and who does what it's honestly a fucking mess. And getting everyone on the same page and also getting the magic that people are creating. They're like, check out these skills and this agent that I built and it does blah, blah, blah. And you're like, great. How can we, figure out how to get other people to use it? We're working through it, but it's not easy. And I keep on finding all these people like building in a little corner by themselves and paying 3 times as much as they should be paying. And I'm just like, okay, like we need some sort of centralized management. And the process of going through that is painful and annoying and slows everyone down. But it's unfortunately a little bit of a fact of life. So it's kind of like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But when it happens, it's frustrating because you unlock this speed and then you kind of got to make sure that everyone around you's coming along.
There's drag on the car. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, you know what I think is super interesting about that specifically is Anthropic, Chat, all of these companies or OpenAI are supposed to be these incredibly huge organizations that are just kind of up and to the right. And they're still having struggles with getting enterprises locked into a like a methodology that you're talking about. And so you're saying like, how do we actually do that? It's like, for me, what that just is a good reminder that like, no matter how big your company is, like there are still things that you haven't figured out and there are opportunities, right? It's just a good reminder. Sometimes we get like, oh God, all anyone talks about is Claude. And it's like, dude, they're fucking up shit left and right. They just got one thing right.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you want me to blow your mind real quick?
Please.
This is crazy to me. The Teams, people will probably listen to this going like, why don't you just get on a Teams plan on Anthropic, on Claude? Like, no problem. The Teams plan has a 150 seat limit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's like, PostScript is a, 250 person company. It sounds so easy. Everyone get on the same team plan. Like even stuff like that is complicated. And Anthropic is just, skiing downhill so fast that they don't have to care about fixing these like weird quality of life things.
They don't care. They're daisy chained two together.
Yeah. They're printing money. They don't care. But like, that's like the type of thing that I'm like, that's crazy. Like, how could that possibly be a limitation? But it is.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Robbo, what about you? Win and loss.
What do you got?
My big win, and this is a bit of a homer pick, but I got my second issue of Top Floor out. And it was great. It was really nostalgic because it was the Triple Whale playbook. So writing is always interesting, especially when you're writing about the past that you experienced. So that was really cool. That felt good. I got it out. A bit of a treatise, so topfloor.tech, shameless plug. It's a long one, so smoke it if you got it, drink it if you got it. But it's really cool. And it made me reflect a lot on. I think the biggest takeaway that I did have was that hiring is everything and be present. I was doing some legitimately cool shit there that I never really appreciated just because I know you guys feel that sometimes too, where when you're running a marketing org, dude, it's once something is actually like, oh, the thing happened, this is great, or it's happening, where am I going to get the next alpha? And I really regret that. I really regret not enjoying a lot of the moments that were really special there. It was a really special time, really special place. And I think it was also a special time in the industry. Like this was D2C.
Yeah.
Twitter was so fun. Like
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
giving, loving. Like it was a really interesting time. So
Yeah.
just a little bit of a life lesson. You always know when it's the first time. You don't know when it's the last time. And so
Dude, it was the Woodstock era of
it was
D2C.
fun, man. It
Yeah.
was love and
It's just
everybody's
free
making
love,
money.
peace. Everyone was
It's great.
excited and happy. It's
Yeah.
just it's a vibe.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. It's still great, but it's just a different.
Just
We're
different.
we're in the Gordon Gecko era
It's just different. It's just
of this.
different. And then the loss is actually very similar to what Mike has experienced. So I'm working with a company doing a bunch of cool AI stuff, helping with their marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And you get to this point of implementation where you have a lot of people building in corners. So you get a lot of duplicitous work, which is one. Two, you get people, excuse me, building that really aren't builders, they're better tastemakers. And so they're wasting a lot of time. Not saying like people shouldn't learn and stuff like that, but at the same time, like we're not hiring you to be an AI engineer. We just want to build the best AI. So like if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just tell me what you want and we can
Yeah.
build it. Like we don't need you for AI or infra. We need you for the tastemaker. Like you're head of revenue or whatever. Like tell me what you need and want, and I can build it for you. So we are dealing with a lot of like bunch of people building in different places. Oh, I have this, I have that, duplicate work. So finally, we have a Notion project, one owner, and then people are kind of putting in the things there. But I think it's a big challenge, man, because it's hard to navigate. Again, you don't want people to necessarily feel like they can't build, but at the same time, like, dude, if you're an AE, it's cool that you're building AI stuff. Candidly, I don't give a fuck. Like, you need to hit your quota. You need to do this. Like, well, not necessarily that. Like, I didn't hire you to be an AI engineer. I hired
Yeah,
you to do
dude.
the job. And
Work.
so there's this really interesting give and take of when you don't want to pour salt in people's Kool-Aid, but at the same time, when you have the inmates running the asylum,
Yeah.
especially with AI, dude, it just gets really weird really quickly. And so I think getting in front of that is really important, where a lot of these CEOs and founders that I know were just like, we're going to be an AI company. We're going to do this and just fucking go. And then everybody goes and you're like, holy shit, this dude's making bombs. You're making Molotov cocktails. You know, this dude's running a brothel. Like, what are we doing? And I think that's something that was really interesting to me to understand that more isn't always more. Like you need to really have clear ownership. And like again, if people want to play around on the weekends, let them learn and stuff. But like you really have to. I think this like free for all, especially now with tokens, getting pretty expensive, where you can get people being really dangerous. Where, dude, I'm on a max plan, but like when we use the API and stuff, dude, it's legitimate money. I've used 100 million tokens in the last 30 or 100 million tokens in the last 30 days on my max plan. Dude, that would be tens of thousands of dollars if I was using it through the company API. So yeah, I cut you off, Mike, but that's my
I know. I was going to say, I want to push back a little bit. I'll give you the other side a little bit. Because like we're experiencing the same thing. I just said that. And like, I'm trying to bring everyone along, but like, what's the purpose of bringing everyone along? What's the purpose of trying to get this like AI native feeling happening at PostScript? And I think that we got to remember, like, there's power laws in business, and if there was a 10x engineer in the past, which there obviously has been, right, 10x employees in the past, then like theoretically with these tools, that means there also should exist, you know, X employees of the future, right? Like this now is creating even more leverage and scale, and I think for all of the mess that we're all dealing with, it might be worth the discovery of the people who are going to harness it and figure out how to do that 100x stuff. Like in AE, for example, yeah, do you want all your AEs focused on AI engineering or pipeline? Like, obviously the answer is like pipeline, we need to hit the number. But if somebody goes from just being like a good AE to being like somebody who can manage 5 or 10 times the amount of quota because they unlock something, it feels worth the mess to find out who among your team could potentially be that person, or at least that's the hypothesis. And so you have to like let the dogs emerge a little bit, and you have to deal with all the like, the mess along the way. And obviously it costs a lot of money too. So it's like, you can't just let it go wild. But I think the bet you would make is eventually you're going to see a completely different level of productivity come out amongst a bunch of people who have figured out how to turn these tools into like accelerant to their existing workflow. And you might not learn that, or who could take the mantle on that, if you don't put the tool in their hand and let them go do what they need to do with it.
Well, so wait, guys. Let's talk about this. So in the middle of this, there is like, yes, people should stay in their lane, and yes, you should also be hungry to learn. So what's the balance, right? Because there are some people that you meet where you're like, dude, just do your fucking job. Don't mess around. You are not Jordan. Okay. You are Steve Kerr. Shoot threes, play defense, right? And so the question is, who do you allow to go into that? Because, dude, I played basketball. I was like taller, and I was fat, so I should have been playing power forward, down on the block, getting rebounds. Homie, I was sitting out there shooting threes like Antoine Walker, just bricking stuff. And that was not my job, right? You got to know what you're there for. So it's like, it comes back to the coach or whoever is the kind of boss in that, being like, hey, I'm going to let everyone have some leeway to go shoot, practice, have fun in practice time. But like, how do you modulate that? Because look, we could get like, you get some tokens and you get some tokens and you get some tokens. Like it can get really messy. And I agree with you. There is like, you do in this mess have to let people find their way. But remember, dude, just because you have a camera and an Instagram account doesn't make you a creator. And it's the same shit. Like, just because you have tokens, a max plan, and you can type a prompt doesn't make you a builder.
Yeah, but the creator analogy is a good one, right? Like, isn't that like the Mr. Beast thing? Like, the reps is the thing that turns you into Jimmy.
But listen,
He had the mind.
he had the mind. Like, look, okay. Jamarcus Russell is a great example. Homie had cannon and he could do all the stuff. He took the Wonderlicks test. There was no amount of reps that was going to make that guy good. He was lazy, all that stuff.
Okay.
You have to want it, but there is a certain amount of like cognitive like firepower you need to have to be goated. It's undeniable, right?
Well, I think, to be fair, I think Mike is right and I think Chase is right, but I think the answer is actually in the middle, because I agree with you, Mike. You should let people do this discovery process. The challenge is integration. Like, AI becomes truly powerful when it becomes a neural network in a system. And so when you're building in, like, these people aren't infra people. They're not thinking of scale or how other people can use it. They're building the systems for them. Versus if you have the ability, you can have one person own the project and then go talk to these tastemakers. Like, these salespeople are better tastemakers than they are builders, where it's like, hey, what do you want on your battle cards? What do you want before call prep? How do you want to do prospecting? How do you want, okay, let me build it for you, test it, blah, 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 versus them wasting all this time figuring out the technology and then building something that isn't really easy to integrate into a system. And so or at least that's been my experience, where the people have been building really cool stuff, but it can never be integrated. It basically has to all get rewritten to actually be useful in a group context. And so these people are all mercenaries, but they're not. It's this, keeping the sporty ball example, these people are incredible at street ball, but they can't play organized basketball. They don't know how to integrate it into a team. And I think you're right. I'm not trying to say people shouldn't explore and do these things. I just think that I've seen more headache. And then these people kind of, you get butthurt because they're like actually legitimately doing cool stuff and you want to encourage that. But at the same time, like, what's the actual, okay, cool, you built this incredible prospecting flow. Now, how do we get it into the rest of the sales org?
Right.
And that second step sounds really nominal. It's not. It's actually really challenging, especially when you have non-technical people. And so I think having the tastemakers be tastemakers and the builders be builders has been a better, I take your point on the finding the gold. And so I think maybe you have this kind of dark night, break the pool stick, and like whoever gets the job, and then you're like, hey, nobody else in sales don't, or like if you're going to play with AI, just do it on the off time, and then we're going to nominate Chase as the AI like representative for sales, and then they can roll into a head of running that project. Because
Yeah.
if not, dude, this company I'm at is not that big, and it's chaos, dude. It's chaos.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
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 100%.
It makes me think, maybe this is a good segue into what we want to talk about today, but it makes me think that there's also this like emerging heuristic for employees now, which is like what you're talking about is like, I think everyone, when they're thinking about their teams, they're focused on like, what's the floor? And you're like trying to hire like above the floor that you need, but you probably need to be thinking about like, what's the ceiling?
Yeah.
And in this world, if you start to think about like, do I have people on my team or at my company who I don't think are capable of harnessing these new tools to do the job I've hired them to do in the future?
Yeah.
They're failing the Jamarcus Russell test. Then you have to really consider like, okay, maybe they were the right person for this prior phase, but this new world is like everyone has all the capabilities and you have to have the total package to be able to thrive in this new space.
Yeah.
And if I don't believe that you can do it, or you're not demonstrating that you can, that maybe means something else. It's less about the AI and more about your hiring strategy and the roster you keep on your team. It maybe needs to change.
Yeah, I really love that, dude. I think this is like just hired someone new and incredibly capable, kind of just like shot off the blocks, right? Going and having conversations. I just said, hey, here are all the people, here are all the docs. I'll talk to you on Friday, right? Like, here's all the onboarding stuff. We had a call. I set him up with some meetings and stuff like that. And we came back today. He's like, I did this, blah, 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 blah. I had a couple of calls. I went to Vegas for a day. Like, we did not have the same week. And he's incredibly capable. And he's already starting to harness these powers. And you look and you say, okay, if I empower this person, give him the right tools, kind of and this was really apparent in the hiring process where I was like, okay, guys, because there was another candidate and said like, okay, this is what I see this person being able to accomplish. I guess the question though is, Mike, how many people are being as thoughtful as you were with that last statement, which is we want to rewrite what we actually believe is what our teammates, our new employees or employees should be able to achieve, and understand what each org should be able to achieve and what that ceiling looks like. Because floor is, like you said, it's not the thing anymore because so much of this operational work is being able to be like excised from the process. So I think
totally.
It's the right question. I actually think the way the speed of all of this is moving, and like, I don't know if none of us were in the market, obviously, for, web, right? Or excuse me, like the web kind of taking over in the late 90s. I don't know how many of us were in the market full for when mobile and like apps and stuff like that came and social kind of 2000s and that boom that happened there. So this is like the first time around for me where I'm like, whoa, like this is like a real groundswell and a change. And it feels just like people are kind of holding on to the reins of the horse, just trying to hold on to that bucking bronco. You know what I mean? Rather than having a real like, hey, this is how we're going to get from A to B. It's like, I'm just not going to fall off this fucking horse, and we'll figure out how to actually get to the next town on this thing after I kind of get this thing settled down. And companies are doing it, obviously, and they're being super thoughtful about it. But the amount of news there is about AI did this and AI did that, and like you start peeling back the layers, you're like, okay, like this was planned like 4 years ago. They were gonna like get rid of this head. Like there's so much, everything's about the headline at this point.
Totally.
And so I think it's like the nuanced approach you're talking about is definitely going to be the way this needs to change.
That's why like the proof matters more than anything. Our CEO at Postscript, Adam, he talks about, which I love this analogy just because it speaks to my era. He's like, before Tony Hawk landed the 900, no one thought a 900 was physically possible. They're on a 1260 now. That's been done. So it's like, if you show, proof of work, especially as it relates to AI, right? A lot of people are talking a big game about what it's enabling, what they're actually doing with it, and that sort of stuff. But, if you show your work and demonstrate these gains, then I think you can show everyone what's possible. That raises the bar organizationally. And now you say like, hey, until the 900 was landed, we didn't think it's possible. Now we know it's possible. Now that's the bar. Now we're competing at that level or above. And I think that that's probably the right way to like start to move the org. And then you have to think about like, obviously what happens to the organizational structure. Who do you hire and why once the bar changes, right? And every time, and this is really like a watershed moment, right? For these tools, they simultaneously can change everything, and also most people are faking it. And that makes it very, very confusing to parse out what the hell's going on right now.
It's just we're in the snake oil like part of this where like the real like we don't know what's real or what's not, and people are using this as like a financial arbitrage moment to make the money that they're going to make, and it's totally fine. You can't get mad at this. This is a tale as old as time, right? It has happened across every single economic technological change. There are the real people, there are the kind of mid-tier people who are figuring it out, and then there are the low-tier people who are faking it and making a bag off of it, and they're just going to make it until the wheels fall off. So it totally makes sense. I'm going to go quick through wins and losses. Wins, I figured out some positioning stuff that I've been really struggling with the last call it like 6 months on Creative OS. There's a lot of noise around it. Every day there's a new tweet about I created a creative fucking tool with my like the Facebook CLI and all this kind of stuff. And I go into every Git repo. It's like I've open sourced it, which first of all, they're getting all the data from the open source. You go and you dig through the Git repo, you pull it in and you're like, this is ass. Like it is not, and that's not me saying that. Like we've made ass products that we've unshipped. I'm not trying to say we're the best in the business, but like everything is super shallow. And so I've been trying to figure out like what's our angle that is unique to us, is what I believe in, and really gives customers alpha, and is like something I want to spend the next 10 years like just fighting for and about. And quality has a lot to do with that. Taste has a lot to do with that. The anti-slopification of like creativity has a lot to do with that. So that's a big win. Like it was kind of one of those, I've been fighting it. And when something finally happens, you're just like, oh, that was so easy. Like what was I thinking about? I'll give you actually the methodology of this whole thing. I was thinking about how do I make a franchise of movies before I make the first movie great, right? So I'm planning this 5-part trilogy, and it's like, brother, your first movie was ass. You're not greenlit. Not only that, you're in filmmaker jail forever.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And so the whole idea is like, don't get ahead of yourself. Like just keep the main thing, build something that's valuable, tell a great story, and like great things will happen.
Yep.
All of the week, I'll talk about an old one that's kind of around this. So we're launching we're going to launch a managed service in a creative. We get so many people ask us to help them with creative and this kind of stuff and helping them build systems. When I was at Pencil, one of the VP of growth over there, we're like, hey, let's run a managed service. Chase, you know how to run ads. You'll just run it and you'll manage the clients and you'll do the creative and like you'll use our system. And this is like, a few years ago, more than a few years ago, we're like, AI was bad and we were making narrative video ads. And it's not even still that good at making narrative video ads today, let alone, 4 years ago. You'll make the ads, you'll run them, you'll close the deals, and you'll manage the clients. You'll run a full service agency with no help, and it will help us with revenue. So I signed a shitload of clients. It's like a no-brainer offer. $1,500, someone manages my media. There's no percentage of spend, and you're going to make my creative, and you're going to talk to me on a weekly basis. Well, so like what goes up must come down. And so we're doing it this time and being much more thoughtful about like infrastructure on all of it. And we already closed 2 clients. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. But the L is like not managing that properly and not understanding like what is the goal of this thing and how do I actually resource it so that it's not set up for failure from the beginning. And I think this is kind of the crux of this entire conversation. How do I resource this idea in the proper way so that it has a fighting chance of being successful? And I don't know, dude, when you're running really fast, like you kind of don't think about that all the time. You're just like, we're just going to fucking do it. And we'll figure it out along the way. And that's a good thing until you get to 250 people. And it's like, no, dude, we are not moving a speedboat. We're moving a yacht.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to be more thoughtful about it.
Yeah. And like there's magic in the just say yes to everything and just do and make clients happy. But also if you do that too often, you like end up running a business that you didn't even intend to be running in the first place. And like, especially when you think about managed services as they attach to software, right? Then all of a sudden you're like, wait, now am I an agency or a SaaS or both or what? And like take aside the people saying that SaaS and service are the same thing. We can debate that some other time. But yeah, I mean, it's easy. Clients have an insatiable hunger for strategy, services, implementation, whatever you'll give them, they'll take. And if you don't have some guardrails in there, you'll end up being an agency pretty fast.
Yeah. There's been a doc handed to them like these are the laws of this thing. This is why it's priced well. Okay. You want no laws? Go talk to one of my rich friends.
It's hard though, right? Like when you come like PostScript came out of YC, right? So we're in like the Paul Graham school, like scale the unscalable thing, right? So in some ways you just have to know like when, like when do the laws apply? When do they not apply? It's not always totally easy. So I empathize with you a bunch. We
Yeah.
have a managed service offering too that's been through tons of iterations, literally like been reinvented every single year we've had it, for a whole bunch of reasons, resourcing reasons, scope of work reasons, all of that. And it's a beast. It's tough to manage sometimes, especially when it's easy to say that the company's goal is just to make customers happy, which it
Yeah.
is, but maybe not at any cost, right? And so what those are and what those aren't is very nuanced and tough to manage.
Well, so this kind of dovetails perfectly into our topic today, which we've kind of been dancing around this entire wins and losses section anyway. So, like whoever's listening to this, guys, we already kind of have been talking about it already. We're talking about org structure, AI, implementation, how everything works. And one of the things that I have been seeing a lot, and I know we've all been seeing a lot, is all of these people being like, one person, $1 billion company, marketing org with 3 people able to do the work of 97 people beforehand. Like, there is this hyperbole that like pervades the amount of, I mean, my poor engineering team, the amount of tweets I send them like, yo, how do we do that, without any sort of like documentation on why I think it's interesting. I just send a link. I'm like, look at this. There's no nuance. And so what I'm curious about is like, today you're starting not from zero, but let's just say you're at a couple mil ARR and you're thinking about, how do I take this and run? Or Mike, you say, Adam comes to you and is like, hey man, I'm cutting your budget. I want to make an insane divvy this year. No more marketing people, no more sales people. You just got to figure it out. AI is going to, like, the credits are going to cut in our favor, right? The gods of credits and tokens are going to cut in our favor. How do you build that today? Is that even a reasonable assumption, or is this just the same internet hyperbole that we've been dealing with? Like, what do you guys, what's your take? How do you run a marketing org with AI today?
Man, I have a very like strong and I think like battle tested point of view. Like we've been working on this for the last, I mean, definitely all of this year and into a little bit of last year. So got about like, let's call it 6 months, 7 months of trying to figure this out. And certainly no mandate to like cut the team or anything like that, but always trying to figure out like what's the limits of the tools and what are they capable of actually doing, and how efficient can we be with the resources that we do have to either inflect the growth rate of the business even faster than it's going, or to lower the total cost of ownership of supporting the revenue line that we have, or both. Like ideally you'd get both things. So what I found so far is that it is very obvious that the box checking exercises that are done in modern marketing, right? Like someone hands you a launch and you have like a launch brief and it's got the stuff, right? It's like, okay, like go to market Slack post, competitive guru card, help center article, like, you run the training, like all the stuff that comes along with it. Like you can get with even maybe just like a couple weeks of beating it up, you could probably get a pipeline built to like help you check all those boxes. I will say I'm going to give credit to my team. There's been a few folks who have been in the center of this, but we have a whole pipeline, a repeatable launch motion that has a bunch of different agents with a bunch of unique skills, all developed by the subject matter experts internally to be able to like put a marketing brief into something and spit out the checkbox. And so like, check. That's happened. My whole team, who I very much trust, these are folks who are like, it's like 10 of us who've been working together for like 5 years. So it's a very tenured senior team. Postscript doesn't have a 200-person marketing team. We have 10 people across all of our functions, including design and everything. And we're all looking at this thing. We're like, on one hand, it's like Prometheus with fire, right? We're like, this rocks. Like you can't unsee what this is capable of doing. And then you start like getting a little bit close to it and you're like looking at the outputs and you're like, this is fine. Like if someone on the team like turned in this help center article, you'd be like, okay, you didn't try very hard on this, but like, does it do what it needs to do?
They had norovirus the day they wrote that. Yeah,
but what I'm finding is that it's not the purpose of marketing. Take a huge step back. What's the point of all this stuff? And this maybe is different for other functions, right? Like I can't speak to like code and that sort of thing. Marketing is storytelling to people to get them to do a particular thing. It has to cut through a whole bunch of noise. You're competing against all the things in the ad auction against you. You're competing against all the other messages in the inbox. You're competing for something that can cut through the noise. And for all of the box checking that we've done, I am like, I don't know. I still don't believe that the output from that pipeline that I was just talking about is going to perform better. And we haven't seen that than like the person who's been sitting next to me for 5 years, like putting pen to paper, getting the inspiration and doing the good marketing. And like good marketing and like okay marketing and bad marketing, like none of that stuff actually works. Only great marketing works. And so I have not seen a ton of instances where AI has been able to hit the same standard of the team. It has made us faster. It has given us ideas. It helps us iterate quickly. And there's all sorts of things that benefit of it. But like this idea that like I'm taking full humans out of the equation is,
So
I have
you're
not
not
seen
saying that everything is dead, I guess,
Yeah,
is like
no,
the question. Stuff's
I'll
not dead.
I'll actually tell you this. This is a funny story. Dan Glazer's the CRO at Postscript, getting hit with all the same stuff you guys are seeing. EEs are gone, AEs, BDRs are gone, AI BDRs. So he goes to SaaStr. He spends this free time. I'm going to go to SaaStr last week. I bought my own ticket. He's walking around in there. And basically what he finds is like on the BDR tools is a great example. He's like, yeah, they're very effective at doing this thing, which is when somebody says, I have $100,000 that I would like to give you, and I need to implement this product in 2 weeks. Can you help me? It schedules them. It puts them with an AE. It handles the whole thing. Everyone who's listening to this who's in a startup or a scale up of any size know that that basically never happens.
Yeah.
That use case basically never happens. It's actually this huge long tail of super nuanced, taste-oriented, human-to-human connection. Guess what? None of those things can actually do that. And the other thing that was really hilarious about Dan's jaunt to SaaStr that he came back with is he's like, look, I'm the CRO of a 250 person company that has 9 figures in ARR. I'm wearing a big old sign that says CRO. Guess how many people on that floor tried to talk to him about anything? 0. He's walking across the trade show floor for all these people they're selling sales stuff. And he's like, CRO here. Does someone want to pitch me? 0 people tried to sell this person something.
Dude.
And I think that him and I were laughing about that. And I'm like, it's because like we're all up our own ass with these tools. We're focused on the tools. Like you actually got to fucking talk to people to sell stuff. You got to like understand people to market to them, you know, like, so the tools are awesome. They help us be faster. They help us iterate quickly. We built the pipelines. It takes a big load off. I'm not saying it doesn't do anything, but I don't know if you guys are on LinkedIn, you can tell that all those posts are written by AI. It's obvious. And so like, if it's obvious, then like, it's not good. And like, aren't we in the business of making something good? Like,
well, you said it, dude. It has to be great to cut through. Like, dude, I have run this, and Rob, I want to get to your version of this, but like, I've been running this and testing this, call it over the last like 6 months. How much can I output, even if I make like a fucking brain with everything that I think and believe with the spikiest takes that I possibly have? And dude, I said I kind of came to this idea of like, oh, this is the angle that we need to go with.
Yeah.
Well, AI is naturally going to revert back to the mean because it needs to have the widest possible application of the methodology that it has. So it's going to be like, oh, you should be this. Oh, you should be that. And it keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. And then when you come with an idea, they're like, damn, that was a good idea. And you're like, motherfucker. What are we talking about? Like, you're supposed to help me do this thing. And so like, Rob, I want to go to you, but like there is a way I think marketing orgs can do this that I'll come with a take after this. Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree mostly. I think there's definitely a Steve Jobs skill issue here. I think that where I've seen the most power in AI and what you're actually seeing the market reflect as well is if you're a measurer, you're going to get got, dude. Like the AI can measure way better. So like you either need to be a builder or a tastemaker. Those are the 2 jobs that are really going to stay here, are builders or tastemakers. And so what I've seen AI do is, one, I think the challenge of AI is you get shown this crazy demo, blah, 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 and then you think it's like that out of the box. Like if you go watch Google DeepMind, it's incredible where when they started it and then the Pong game and they can't beat the Pong game, and then literally a year later they can sequence human genome. Like, so I think there's an issue of like, hey, there needs to be a calibration of what's going on. That's why inputs are really important. That's why tastemakers are really important. And so, Mike, I would push back on you and say, hey, what I would have is I would have that kind of workflow work and then have people either at the beginning put some 0 to 1 ideas in the workflow, or taste make on the output. So I've very, outside of like outbounding stuff, I've gotten, like with the War Machine, I've gotten the outbounding to be pretty good. But outside of that, there usually needs to be a tastemaker. And even in the outbound, there needs to be a tastemaker of like, actually, this is, but what I've found is like, hey, if you cut out measures, that's depending on the context you're at, but there's a lot of people that made their money measuring. That's just not useful anymore with AI. You can cut those people out. And so if you can't shift that labor into building or tastemaking, and tastemaking's hard because tastemaking's a function of exposure. So unless you've been around a lot and you just naturally have really great taste, which again isn't necessarily a natural thing, it's just you've been exposed to a lot of great work or bad work, I think it's really challenging. And with builders. So
that reflects my experience, by the way.
yes.
Like, there has to be a human in the loop. Maybe at the beginning of the loop, definitely at the end of the loop.
Yep.
A lot of people are being told on the podcasts or at the conferences or on the X videos or whatever they're being told about that there is no humans in the loop ever again. With the products we develop for our customers, with the products that we're using for our teams internally, not only have I not seen humans being completely out of the loop be effective yet, I actually have seen people who are using AI place a premium on being able to get people in the loop at the right moment to reinforce the outcome, that people actually want that. And so
that's the
there's a little bit of like a tension there where it's like, Chase, I'm sure everyone's got their boss is sending them all the tweets like, check out what this person did. They, they apparently generated $100 million in run rate in 24 hours by, having 20 background agents do XYZ. Those things are floating around all over the place. Where the rubber meets the road, like I have not seen the ability to take really good people who know your customers and who know your business out of the process entirely, unless you're comfortable with slop. And
I agree with that.
I mean, I was going to say no one's comfortable. So actually, I see tons of slop out there. So some people are comfortable with slop, but if you're trying to do good marketing, you can't be comfortable with slop. And that requires you to have a great trusted team who understands your customers and your market context, in my opinion.
I think one thing like we have to all realize is we're sitting here and we are the people who care the most about this stuff. And a lot of the people, even our customers, are just like trying to keep up with shit. And so they're willing to like put things out there. And so the actual onus is on us to build systems that don't allow them to do that. It's almost like we have to be their parent and be like, yo, dude, like this is not going to pass the bar here. You're not allowed to do that. Like transparently with you. And again, I'm more talking just because of my exposure to like the side on creativity. The amount of operators out there that are just like, yo, just do it, send it, make 50 ads, use our little weave system, build synthetic things. Like every single one of these things that people are doing is an arbitrage play, and arbitrage never lasts. And so I'm always about getting the alpha while you can. The thing is people over index is they're going to get one winning ad. And I have seen this in thousands of ad accounts right now. And then they believe that that is the winning formula for their brand forever, and they will tank their business because they're chasing the dragon. You know what I mean? Like they are absolutely trying to get that one high again. I have been a card carrying member of that club before. Like you cannot rest on your laurels on any of these things. And people are right now, I see it with all the people that we know. We're doing Pixar animation ads. Dude, this shit's going to fucking run out in 3 months. I'm not telling you not to do it. You should absolutely do it, but don't make your entire ad account that. Right. People were posting, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, all this AI LinkedIn content. Maybe it worked a little bit then. It's definitely not working now.
Totally.
Right? So,
and like the thing I'm really curious your guys' point of view about this. Cause like I've kind of been feeling this way, like looking around at all the people in our market being like, are you guys seeing this too? Like you guys can tell that all this shit is AI generated, right? Like it's not fooling anyone. And everyone's just like proudly like sending it. Or like people who are like, I'm a SaaS founder now. And like the UI of the app is like the obvious AI slop first version that Claude does. It looks exactly the same for everyone. I'm like, guys, like this isn't like everyone can tell. And like now that everyone's had these tools, you're just going to this lowest common denominator thing, which is like fundamentally, it's like guaranteeing that it won't break through because it's like the nature of the LLM is spitting out a particular thing because they're not thinking, they're just aggregating the amount of things that are actually in there. We're not like at AGI yet, right? So It's aggregating the lowest common denominator. That is the output. And the amount of people who are just willingly like hitting send because their boss sent them a tweet or because they don't have a strong point of view or they're, people are probably doing it out of necessity because they aren't performing well. So they need to make cuts, which I have empathy for that. That's a tough place to be in. But whatever the reason, you're not going to pull out inspirational marketing that's going to drive net new demand by hitting a Claude prompt hard enough. It's just not going to happen.
Have tried, does not work. It's absolutely not. I guess, Rob, so you've been working really deeply with agents, right?
Yeah.
Building this product, 70 agents orchestrated on the back end, helping a team. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this as we were talking about this, because I want to pass this to you. There are jobs in a marketing org that are very paint by numbers and black and white. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. And there's like very little taste involved. It is just, I need to hit these things and do it. And it's like foundational, like pouring concrete work.
Exactly right.
And then there is the taste work that we're talking about, which is like, well, how do I design this house so that it looks good on this hill where I poured the concrete? And how do I design it on the inside so when someone walks in, they're like, yo, dude, this guy, like amazing taste. How are you thinking about that? Because you've obviously built like in the last, 5 years, 2 marketing orgs that have scaled into really big businesses. And you're now essentially trying to rebuild all of the foundational things so that people can think more. Right. That's the whole thesis. Like, how are you thinking about that? Because I think Mike has had a really good POV on this, and I find him to be right. I wish I would disagree with him more. But like, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think you guys are both right. Where I would diverge from where you guys are holding the line is I think that in the right hands, AI is like the power of AI right now. You don't have when you have a builder and a tastemaker, that's the 100x engineer that you've always wanted. When you just have a builder, you get kind of a bit of that monkey with the machine gun where they do a lot of supply side innovation where it just doesn't matter. Like it's like just because it's cool and it took you a long time and you think it's awesome doesn't make it valuable. So I think that's a lot of what Mike's talking about of like, hey, look at this cool demo. And you're like, okay, cool, but I don't need to hit a button and have a unicorn do loops on my screen. Like that's not generating pipeline for me. Where I diverge from you guys is the magic for me anyways in the War Machine and the GTM is that when you link everything together, this is something that can't happen in an actual business in real time. Product marketing and sales never talk to each other. I don't care how good you are. These people just never talk to each other, but they all have workflows and artifacts. And so if you can spit that out and have it in a brand brain, what the War Machine does is builds a brand brain, and then you have version control on top of that, then everything comes out of that. And then you have, to your point, Chase, a lot of things can be high taste vectors. So for example, your event strategy might be a split of taste and execution where it's like, hey, I know your conversion rates. I know your ACVs. I know your ICP. Tell me the event you're going to go to, and I'll give you a guesstimation on is this going to be a good event or not for you. And then you can actually still make the call. That's still like a human in the loop, but it's way easier to just give the AI that. Another kind of high taste vector is like, hey, we want to throw a cab. Like, yes, you can work with the AI to throw a cab in terms of like, hey, all your big customers are clustered in this area, so it'll actually be cheaper to throw it in LA instead of New York or vice versa. But you're probably not going to have that person or the AI like calf to cow design the cab. You're going to have, so what I'm getting at is you take a lot of the build away and you just apply tastemakers, and those tastemakers can use all of that brain power to actually impact the taste versus having to build it. And then on the flip side, to your point, Chase, there's a lot of formulaic shit. SEO, AEO. Dude, you just need the right like this doesn't need to be fucking War and Peace or Anna Karenina. Like this is just slop. This is the perfect example of actual effective AI slop of like all you want to do is get ranked in the search engines. SEO by nature is slop. It is not thought leadership. It is what are people searching for? Can I get into that? The War Machine literally will search all of your SEO all your AEO stuff and then generate articles, the titles, the website, or the thumbnails, blah, 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 and then spit it in your Webflow. That is not something that you need Mike to waste a tastemaker on. It's not going to matter. Fucking shitty SEO article and a high taste SEO article, there's no difference. There's no taste in that. Outbound is very similar. ABM is not. ABM is something that you need taste, where this is like, hey, I need to understand how to unlock this. Should I send them a bottle of wine? They're a Cubs fan, blah, blah, blah. Like that's ABM. Where outbound, dude, outbound is the reason that outbound in an AI that is connected to the whole machine works is because one, it can self-learn in that internal loop, but it can also learn, hey, these are the top objections we're hearing on sales calls. Okay, let's change this. Hey, these are what is working for close one deals. Hey, let's change this. Here's what CS is talking about. Hey, let's change this. And that to me is the show, is when you have a neural network and a whole system talking to each other with real time. And then you add the version control to make sure you're on brand, on market, on product, on pricing. That's why I'm very bullish on actual teams having a builder or a system and then just tastemakers, because I think building is going to get commoditized. And what really separates it is the team that you have, Mike, of people being like, this is great. This is good. You're going to see a lot of stuff be good, but it's not going to be great. It's not going to be an example, right, is right now we're scraping all gong calls and there's the attribution that like, hey, okay, Salesforce has attribution. What I'm actually using the gong calls for, I'm calling it emotional attribution. Okay, this gong, this person came through, Mike got the big deal. It said our Google PPC got the deal. And then you listen to the call, it's like, oh yeah, I bet Mike at Shop Talk, him and Alex were some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. What a great event. Thank you for having us at dinner. This was great. Now let's get into the deal. That's where I'm going to put my marketing dollars. That's where taste is. That's emotional attribution, and AI is never going to be able to do that.
To your point, by the way, like we are in the drop shipping era of software. Like it is just anyone can make anything. That doesn't mean you should make anything. That doesn't mean that the products are scalable. That doesn't mean that people are going to keep up with the market with these things. It's like every single person ships something. You see like 25 new products every hour that get put online. Come back in 6 months and see if those people are still doing that. Like they moved on. You know what I mean? It's like so much of this is just who's going to stay in the game long enough and keep fighting for that customer and value creation. So completely with you. I think, by the way, there is a connection between both of what you guys are saying. And I'm going to say
Mike's right. I think Mike's right. I just think he's not extending his rightness enough.
Yeah. You need to extend your rightness to Roba's rightness, Mike. I don't know if that's even that's English or not. I sounded kind of German there.
I always just think like, I totally get the points. I just think like the principles are the principles for a reason, right? And the principles, because they're timeless, they don't change, right? And
it can push back on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's like
Newtonian physics was like super chill until it wasn't, until Einstein was like, oh, relativity. And then relativity was super chill. And then until they're like, oh, spooky action at a distance. So you actually have to. So I agree with you, but that is actually, I think, not the greatest way to approach things. I think it's more so when the data changes, I change my mind. And I think that is more so than when you have beliefs, you generate dogmas where it's like, this can't be right because this is what we were taught. And it's like, I don't know if that's
so I would give you guys a counter, maybe it's not a counterfactual, but like the way I would look at it is, so Mike said something about like, look, we're just in the business of telling great stories. A great story doesn't have to be an Oscar winning film. It could be a random fucking TikTok that you saw and you're like, yo, this was incredibly like poignant to me.
It connects and it generates emotion.
Exactly.
That's what a great
form factor doesn't necessarily matter. It's all about like, so just using Groons as an analog. Why did Groons hit? It's a form factor thing. It is literally AG1 in a gummy, right? But it's like, it's playful. They have a little bear. It's kind of interesting. And obviously they hit all the right notes. I'm really oversimplifying what they did and like how successful they were. But if you really just break it down, first principles, like, okay, there's a powder. It's messy. It doesn't taste always that good. And it's kind of like annoying to have to deal with. Here, I rip it open, I take it, I throw it away, I move on with my day. There's no cleanup. There's no like, it is simple. A great story, all it does, the residue, if you will, that it leaves is like, it just makes you feel something where like, man, I'm going to tell Mike about the fact that I saw Devil Wears Prada too. And that shit bangs, right? Like that's, and the same thing goes for great marketing. So like our boy Ari from Air is on a heater right now. He is like just on an absolute heater, right?
Yep.
he's Jordan in the 90s right now. Just like he's having one of those moments. Everything he's doing, he's pulling all the right levers to be like, for what they're trying to accomplish, it's cutting through, it's emotional. And if it's not emotional, it makes you want to share it with your friends.
Well,
right? Like it has something going on.
I would argue you're missing one of the biggest pieces. It ties back to the product and the community. The shit he's not doing isn't just stunts, dude.
It's not
all
stunts.
comes back to the air community, the creative community. And so now you're not only ingratiating the community, but you get, like, I always tell people, the whole point of having a dinner, throwing an event, blah, 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 isn't to book a demo. It's to get them to open the fucking email. Like, if you do it at the thing, it's weird, but it's like, oh, Mike, thank you for having me for dinner, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, man, hey, if you want. Anyways, like, we do a bunch of cool shit at Postscript. Maybe I'll hit you up and we can chat about it. Like, and that's the magic. That's what Ari's doing so well. And it's
transparently
so
with you, he used to be more stunty, and it actually feels like he went to a new level where the stunts actually lean into what you're talking about. Like there was an era where he was full stunt, and now it feels like there is a through line there. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, I just think I think what Ari's doing is sick, and
all
I'm trying to say about this is that, like, what do we, in my opinion, what do you still need? You still need to use the tools that are available to you in the best way possible and be on the cutting edge of that shit.
Yeah.
And you need to like understand what is going to resonate with the target audience that you're trying to reach at a very, very deep level.
Hasn't changed, right? That's the same thing as 100 years ago.
That's the same as it ever was. And so I think what my problem is as long as you have those principles, then I think you're good. And I think what Rob is saying is like, maybe the SICK team is configured differently now because of the tools, and that all makes sense. A lot of people, and if you're listening to this, and I'm sure some of you are like this, they're trying to shortcut the principles by using just these tools.
Dude, they want the trilogy before they made a good first movie.
Yeah.
Man. Like,
and so that is the bar.
There's no shortcuts for this.
There's no shortcuts, dude. That's correct. Like, to give you guys a perfect example, what I'm saying is back in the day, Walt Disney, dude, and then Walt Disney has this huge breakthrough of, okay, cool, we can actually do animations, and then Mickey Mouse came from that. But now we're seeing a phase of like the Pixar era of like, holy shit, we can actually, these animations took forever to hand draw them. Now we can create them and actually make them more lifelike and stuff. To your point, Mike, the fundamentals didn't change in the creativity. The applicable craft did. And so where I'm saying is you might have the wrong roster now, where you might have Navy captains for wooden ships. And now we're in the steel ship era. And if people can't transition, it's going to be really difficult, because the fundamentals of naval warfare are the same, but the actual application are different because you have a different. And so I think we're saying same, but different. But what you said was so spot on, Mike.
Dude, it's fighting in World War I versus World War II. It's a completely different, and then fighting in Vietnam. Like they're completely different eras. The technology change. You know,
keep the naval example, dude. The battleship used to be the biggest, baddest thing on the planet, right? This was the thing. And then what happened? My gosh, battleships, even though they can still shoot fucking Volkswagens 3-4 miles, guess what they made? Carriers. And now I have a floating island. And so my distance is actually strike distance is actually a strike plane, not a shell distance. And it changed the whole. So you had all these battleships. It didn't matter. I could blow your battleships up without even you seeing me, let alone being into your blast radius. So that's what I'm saying. I think the fundamentals are the same. The warfare is different now. And if you can't adapt to the tools, I think it's going to be really challenging for you, because to your point, Mike, you're going to be like, hey, for me, the biggest mind-blowing line on this was that you used to hire to raise the floor. Now you're going to hire and keep your roster for people that are at the ceiling or higher. And that inversion, to me, is the biggest thing. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a smaller team of fucking killers. It just is. And so that's my whole pitch. So I'm actually taking your words, Mike, and using that. That's the inversion. That to me was the most mind expanding quote. That's in a sentence. That's the episode. It's not about hiring people that are above the floor now. It's hiring people that can be at the ceiling or higher. And previously, that just wasn't the case. Like, you just needed hands. You just needed people.
It's just like, okay, so you would actually go into being like, this is a body. I just need a body.
You're raising the baseline versus raising the potential. And that's the switch for me.
Yeah. Okay, so guys,
love it.
As we go to land the plane, what what are like the one tool that you're excited about, not War Machine, that you're excited about using like in your in your marketing
Shameless
right
plug.
now that's AI? Well, like, dude, first of all, you're never going to be able to change the name now. It's just tattooed all over this whole yeah. What tools are you guys using that you're excited about? And like Claude is not allowed, and you got to actually have something where you, or maybe it's an application of it. Like you've built kind of a skill. What are you guys doing right now that your teams or yourselves individually are using that you're excited?
Do you want to go, Mike? Or you want me to give you some time to think?
No, I don't have a business related one. I have like a little fun one.
Even
Yeah.
better.
That just because you know, sometimes I can be a little bit of a hater, and I'm very offended by like just people just sending slop into the world in perpetuity. So sometimes when I see something particularly egregious, I'll grab it off LinkedIn and I'll put it in zero GPT just to see what percentage of it is written by AI. If you haven't used zerogpt.com, it's fun. It literally analyzes anything and tells you what I think like probably school teachers use it to like grade people's assignments, but
Yeah.
I put text in there and it'll say like 99% of this was written by an LLM. Here's how we know. Here's the models that were used. And, you know, sometimes that just gives me a little chuckle in between meetings. And so if you haven't played with it, go check it out. You know, maybe you'll put some of your team stuff through it and see how much of it is AI or versus not. But it's a fun little thing.
But dude, I tell people when I've written something with AI, I'm like, hey, I recorded this into a Loom. It's a thought, like I put it there and I've edited a little bit, but this is an AI collaboration. Okay. Just for that very same reason. Cause I'm like, oh, dude, I know exactly. Cause there's a bunch of syntax you can tell. It's like some of the dashes, there's a bunch of little things you can kind of tell along the way.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
Great
fun.
pick. But two, I get screwed on that stuff because I actually like talk and think like AI and like triples and cadences and stuff. So I have to like rewrite a bunch of shit that I actually wrote. But that's a great
Zero
great
GPT, I'm
pick,
using
dude.
it.
Zero GPT.
Yeah, there's zero GPT and then there's GPT zero. There's a bunch of other free
I
tools
think
out there.
I used human lingo or something, but it's
Yeah,
such a good call.
they're a little bit, they're just a little fun. And you know, sometimes when someone posts a think piece on LinkedIn that gets like 8,000 chat GPT obvious comments, I'm like, let's just see what this thing is all about.
I love
It
it.
gives me
Dude,
puts a little
Dude, you
smile
got
on
to
my
just
face.
start screenshotting the Zero GPT and putting it in the comments.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. that's so good.
seriously.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Or just, dude, you know, it would be a fun little we could make an unscalable project. We could just have like a wall of shame.
Yes, the unscalable
Curate
slop
the
of
highest.
shame. Yeah, dude.
I don't like it's like when you steal or bounce a check at a convenience store. You have your
Yeah,
picture on
yeah.
there. Do not accept
Yeah,
that.
the
Like, do
fake
not read
ID.
their
Oh,
do
yeah.
not read their content.
Oh man, my fake ID.
Simpler times. What I got? It's War Machine adjacent, so I'll keep the War Machine out of it. But if you guys haven't played with, this is a little technical, but I'm sure we have some nerds listening. The new GPT voice model is very, very good. And so in the War Machine now, there's sales simulator, so people can do role playing and drilling and things like that. And then might cover your ears. There is a ghostwriter capability. Part of the ghostwriter. What makes it great is actually giving it personal context. Previously, I'd have to run calls with people to be like, hey, Mike, what do you think of this thing? What do you think of that thing? Here's what's going on. What do you think of the live ramp acquisition 2.2? Anyways, but now using that same technology can basically it scrapes all the questions and stuff like that. And then it'll throw in personal stuff. And then you can just do a role play with it where you just talk to it. It'll save the transcript, put it into the content mine, and then help you generate posts that you should still taste make and make your own to make sure that Mike doesn't send like a glitter bomb to my house. But the GPT voice it's really interesting, and there's a really cool thing about it that it's just human enough to actually do that well. And so with the banter back and forth of like asking you questions and then saving that, and then the sales role playing was actually a lot better than I thought, and you can calibrate it as well. But that's my pick is the GPT mini and voice models are very, very good.
Mine lives in the OpenAI world as well. It's more of application, which is my kids have been making like coloring books with them. So
Ooh.
they find a topic that they like, and we start kind of making either coloring books, and we've been starting to I've been with my oldest son starting to work on like narrative stories with them, like, hey,
Cool.
what is the story you want to go? So he's really into Godzilla, so we've been making like kind of like fun kid Godzilla stories and like printing them out into drawing pictures, and it's really cool. I'll send you guys some of the stuff that we've made, and it's pretty interesting because like you can see their imagination come alive, and it's like they can tell stories. There's like two sides to this, right? One is like, oh God, technology, they should figure out their other stuff. The other side is like, no, the thing that they're interested in, they can dive deeper into and actually create something much bigger. I mean, imagine what happens to Lord of the Rings if like, Tolkien has like this kind of tooling to go with, like how much more world building can he do? And so I think you can look at it and say, oh, it's lazy. You can also look at it and say like, you're giving your kid an opportunity to think outside the box more and then see it come to life and really feel like they accomplished something, which is pretty cool.
I think we should call this episode Mike's Law, because I think you should apply Mike's Law of like, is this perverting the fundamentals? And that's not, dude. That's
No.
actually empowering the fundamentals,
Yeah,
and
I
they're
agree
able
with
to
you.
explore it in a better way. And anytime you're trying to take a shortcut, like if he said, hey, I want to have book on Godzilla, that's not good. That's the
Yeah.
shortcut. But if he's like, hey, I want to make a book about Godzilla, ask me some questions. Okay, I want it to be set in Tokyo. Okay,
Yeah.
I want it to have a villain. I want it to
Yeah.
have like, there's not like, for me, that's exactly what you should be doing. Like you're exploring and you're sharpening those fundamentals.
Yeah.
So I think like
100%.
Mike's Law is that's the rule that you should be
Yeah.
using when you're using, like, are you trying to empower, enhance, or augment yourself? Or are you trying to make shortcuts? If you're trying to make shortcuts, you're fucked. You're violating Mike's Law. Send a donation to your favorite charity. If you're not, keep building.
Hey, you won't find any dissent from me on stuff that's named after me. So
That's
let-
an easy
let-
win, right? That's
yeah,
dirty
let-
pool
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
That's the dirty pool.
All right. So let's what's the we did that. We have another section. We want to talk about the unscalable move. So like what's the unscalable move right now? Like in this AI team orientation thing. Because obviously like Mike's Law does give us a certain amount of things that we can jump off of. But what's the unscalable move that everyone should be thinking about with AI empowered marketing teams?
I'll jump in and then I'll toss to you, Mike. It's impossible to do, but if you can find heuristics to validate tastemakers or AI builders, that's going to be the roster that you need. There can be frustrated geniuses that are incredible measurement people. That's going to be very, very siren song. Can you identify tastemakers? Can you identify AI builders? Or even better, can you transform your current roster into one of those two? Because it's way easier to keep talent than find talent.
Do you guys think that this is going to happen where the way that engineers have engineering tests, we start doing AI and marketing tests for people in the same, like not build a strategy plan, like, no, show me how you build and how you think.
This is something that is actually really annoying, where I've had some people where you can kind of exactly, again, Mike's Law in action. They just wanted a shortcut. And they give you this 15-page treatise of like, here's the strategy, blah, blah, blah. Like, dog, I'm not reading this, and you sure as hell didn't read it. Like, what are we doing here? So I think yes, but you need to abide by the Mark Twain. Like, I wrote you a long letter because I didn't have time to write you a short one. Like, you still need to be succinct. The fundamentals, you can always make it more complex, but
Simplicity.
you have to pitch. Simplicity is ultimate sophistication.
Yeah. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, I would say, like, in the spirit of what we've been talking about, like the unscalable stuff is the stuff that AI still can't do. And so I think that, like, right now, the people who are, again, leaning into the fundamentals on how they're working with their customers, how you're delivering customer value, how you're building the relationships that are going to, secure the next phase in the commercial relationship, the renewal, the next sale, the referral, whatever. Those are the things that are going to separate, I think, the winners from everyone else over the next few years, because all this stuff is just going to get totally commoditized. And if everyone has infinite execution muscle, then the only thing left is going to be the relationship stuff. So that's the unscalable stuff, and that's where you should be putting your effort now.
Well, fuck you, man. I can't like go with mine specifically is think more, right? Everyone, like, there is this kind of infinite loop of doing that is happening right now. And I find myself, when I force myself, for instance, to go out on a walk. And by the way, sometimes I always bring my phone, but like I'll talk into AI just to say like, I need these thoughts put down, or I'll talk into Whisperflow or something just to put some thoughts down on paper. But I find we are so obsessed today with go, do. There is a real lack of deep thinking going on around all of this stuff, because people are like, well, now I can show that it's actually even worse for like, Rob, what did I say that one day? It's like these tryhards. where it's like they can show the list of things that they did. And you're like, well, dude, 79% of these things are not even good. And 3% of these things are not even like great. You know what I mean? So, okay, you did 25 things. I don't give a shit what you did. Like, how good is it? Is it going to cut through? And I think this is like, I keep running into this, like with engineers, by the way, engineers, marketers, CS people, every single person is like, well, but I did the thing. And it's like doing the thing isn't actually the thing. You need to actually show that there is depth to it. And that comes from thinking time. And by the way, that's, we're all leaders of, orgs. And it comes from top down. If your boss isn't thinking, no one else is going to think. If everyone is just AI pilled, and I'm not saying we don't use it. We use it all the time, everywhere. But you know what? I've mandated all engineers. I say, guys, 2 hours a day, you got to sit and just think about the problem. And you know what happens? Every time I can feel when they're not doing it. I do an audit and I'm like, yo guys, I see your fucking cursor going ham. Like, what is actually happening? Let's sit and think. And we'll sit for 2 hours and just be like, all right, let's just sit and talk. And the best ideas generally come out of that. And then you go do, right? But if you're just always doing, you lose a touch of what makes things magical, right? Which is, think about, I always come back to movies because you guys know I'm a movie guy. Think about all the movies, moments you remember in movies or in books, right? Like there's this really like a perverse book called Lolita, dude. Read the last page. It is like the most magical last page of a book you've ever read in your life. You've never heard prose like this. And I remember the first time I listened to it on tape and Jeremy Irons read it because he started the movie and he loved the book. Dude, I'm not joking you. I can conjure it right now. It makes me want to weep, right? Because the words, the person, the voice, the moment, everything that led up to it. And every single thing that we do is the same way. But he thought about how he was going to perform that. It was written with thought and care. It was built by a thing that was thought and care. It was printed. There's so much stuff that goes into it. Okay, well, someone could type into Claude, write me. I tested this, by the way. Write me a story that is like this. I did this as a test. I did a storyline of there's a guy in Count of Monte Cristo who's just really wild. Right. So I'm like, I want to write a book. Let's write a book about him. So it does everything right. You read it. It was 200 pages. You read it and you're like, this is doing everything right, but it's not human.
Right.
This is the thing that I want to touch on, and we can wrap up on this, but that AI has started to glorify output, not impact. That's
Dude,
the show.
We're in the output era.
That's the point that I think Mike is talking about is like output doesn't matter, impact does. Karpathy has I think he actually just joined Claude, but
he did.
It's a great line. You can't outsource your thinking. You can't outsource your understanding. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Chase.
Yeah.
Like it gets it to the point of the demo, but then you hit Mike's law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immutable. Immutable.
Yeah, it is. These are the immutable truths of
The
life.
immutable Mike's
I'm
law.
a brand guy.
Be
What can I
good, do
say?
good, and Mike's law, right? Put it on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I have the Farbahar on my legs. Thoughts, good words, good deeds, Mike's law. I got to add a fourth ring.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was incredible. I hope this was valuable to everybody. Mike, where should people find you online or in the AI ether? Where's the best place?
Tweets from you. You're so brilliant. I always see it through postscript.
Well, dude, he doesn't use AI slop, man. This guy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can find me on X. You can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, if you see me posting AI slop, feel free to call me out. I'm happy. I'm ready. So what
about you, Rob? We got topfloor.tech. Start reading that, everybody.
At Robert Ray Hill on the Twitters and LinkedIn's. And then, Mike, you didn't plug your Twitters.
It's just Mike Manheimer, and then obviously postscript.
Beautiful.
Yeah. CreativeOS.com. I'm Chase Moseni, and the Chase Moseni on LinkedIn. And then if you want to read about creativity, creative discipline is on Beehive. It's our newsletter. Yeah, this is great, guys. Really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And taste matters, quality matters. Don't shortcut it. Mike's law.
Mike's law. Fundamentals. We'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.